Sarah felt trapped. It was like being caught in a spiderweb, invisible yet suffocating. She loved Mark deeply, or at least she believed she did. He was charming, charismatic, and swept her off her feet. Their early days were a whirlwind of romance. But things changed gradually. His compliments became criticisms, his affection conditional. Sarah found herself walking on eggshells, terrified of triggering his anger or disapproval. Despite the emotional turmoil, the thought of leaving him filled her with dread. This, Sarah would later learn, was the insidious nature of a trauma bond. Breaking free, she discovered, would require a monumental shift in understanding, courage, and self-love. Trauma bonding is a psychological phenomenon that occurs in relationships characterized by intense emotional swings, manipulation, and control. Trauma bonds are deep emotional attachments that develop in abusive relationships, often characterized by cycles of abuse and reconciliation. Understanding the chemistry behind these bonds involves examining how stress, attachment, and reward mechanisms in the brain interact under such conditions. Here's a detailed look into the neurochemical and psychological processes that contribute to trauma bonding. It's a survival mechanism employed by the victim to cope with the unpredictable and often abusive behavior of the narcissist. This cycle of intermittent reinforcement, where moments of love and affection are interspersed with periods of abuse, creates a powerful bond. The victim, starved for affection and validation, becomes addicted to the highs of the relationship, overlooking or rationalizing the lows. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter associated with the brain's reward system. It plays a critical role in how we experience pleasure and reinforcement from certain behaviors. In abusive relationships, periods of abuse are often interspersed with moments of affection and reconciliation. These positive interactions release dopamine, creating a sense of reward and pleasure. This intermittent reinforcement strengthens the emotional bond, despite the negative experiences. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone, because it is crucial for social bonding, attachment, and trust. During moments of reconciliation and intimacy in an abusive relationship, oxytocin levels increase, reinforcing the attachment to the abuser. This hormone makes the victim feel more connected and loyal to their abuser, complicating their ability to leave the relationship. Cortisol is released in response to stress and is part of the body's fight-or-flight response. In an abusive relationship, chronic stress leads to consistently elevated cortisol levels. This constant state of stress can impair cognitive function and decision-making, making it harder for the victim to assess the relationship objectively and take steps to leave. Confusion is key for the narcissist. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood, anxiety, and overall sense of well-being. Abusive relationships often cause fluctuations in serotonin levels, which causes emotional instability. The victim may feel depressed or anxious during abusive episodes, but temporarily relieved during reconciliations, creating a cycle that further entraps them in the relationship. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, skilled at identifying and exploiting the vulnerabilities of their victims. The cumulative effect of all of these off-balance chemical messengers in the victim's brain is confusion, chaos, and a serious addiction to the abuser. The victim is then directly relying on abuser to help regulate her emotions, as her partner did in the beginning of the relationship. That never happens. Abusers often present themselves as charming, charismatic, and deeply caring individuals, especially in the initial stages of the relationship. Trauma bonds thrive in this toxic ecosystem, binding the victim to the abuser through a complex interplay of fear, obligation, and intermittent reinforcement. Understanding the chemical dynamics of these bonds is crucial for breaking free from their grip. Narcissists often engage in a cyclical pattern of abuse known as the idealize, devalue, discard cycle. This insidious pattern is designed to break down the victim's self-esteem and keep them trapped in the relationship. The cycle begins with the idealization phase, where the narcissist showers the victim with attention, compliments, and grand gestures of love. This whirlwind of affection is intoxicating, creating a sense of euphoria and deep connection. The victim feels seen, understood, and cherished, often believing they've found their soulmate. However, this blissful period is short-lived. Once the narcissist feels they have secured the victim's affection and trust, the devaluation phase begins. Criticisms, put-downs, and subtle jabs at the victim's self-esteem become increasingly frequent. The devaluation phase is a calculated erosion of the victim's self-worth, designed to make them dependent on the narcissist for validation. Finally, the cycle culminates in the discard phase, where the narcissist abruptly ends the relationship, often moving on to a new source of narcissistic supply. Identifying a narcissist early on can be challenging, especially during the initial stages of a relationship when they are putting their best foot forward. However, some red flags and warning signs can help you protect yourself from falling prey to their manipulative tactics. Pay attention to how they talk about themselves. Narcissists often display an inflated sense of self-importance and a constant need for admiration. They may exaggerate their accomplishments, dominate conversations, or belittle others to make themselves appear superior. Observe how they treat others, particularly those in service roles or positions of less power. A lack of empathy and disregard for the feelings of others are telltale signs of narcissism. Notice how they handle criticism. Narcissists are hypersensitive to any perceived slight or challenge to their authority. Trust your intuition. If something feels off or too good to be true, it probably is. Trauma bonds are incredibly powerful and difficult to break free from. Several factors contribute to the complexity of these bonds, making it challenging for victims to leave, even when they know the relationship is toxic. One key factor is the intermittent reinforcement mentioned earlier. The unpredictable swings between affection and abuse create a potent cocktail of hope and despair. The victim clings to the hope that the abuser will change, returning to the loving person they were at the beginning of the relationship. Each instance of kindness or affection reinforces this hope, making it harder to walk away. Another factor is the psychological manipulation employed by the narcissist. Gaslighting, projection, and blame shifting are common tactics used to distort the victim's reality and make them doubt their own perceptions. This constant erosion of self-esteem and self-worth makes it difficult for the victim to believe they deserve better. Additionally, the victim may feel a sense of obligation or responsibility towards the narcissist. Breaking free from a trauma bond is a challenging but empowering journey. It requires courage, self-compassion, and a deep commitment to reclaiming your life. The first step is acknowledging the reality of the situation. This involves recognizing that you are in a toxic relationship and that the narcissist's behavior is not your fault. It's essential to educate yourself about narcissism and trauma bonding to understand the dynamics of the abuse you've experienced. Setting boundaries is crucial for protecting yourself from further manipulation. This may involve limiting contact with the narcissist and asserting your needs and opinions. Focus on rebuilding your self-esteem. Engage in activities that bring you joy. Remind yourself of your strengths, and surround yourself with supportive people who uplift and encourage you. Healing from a trauma bond is not a journey you have to undertake alone. Reaching out for support from trusted friends, family members, or a therapist can provide invaluable guidance, validation, and encouragement. Surrounding yourself with a supportive network can make a world of difference in your recovery. A therapist specializing in trauma or narcissistic abuse can provide a safe and confidential space for you to process your experiences and develop coping mechanisms. Support groups can also be incredibly beneficial. Connecting with others who have experienced similar forms of abuse can foster a sense of community, understanding, and shared strength. Remember, seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Rebuilding your life after escaping a narcissistic relationship is a process that takes time, patience, and self-compassion. It's about reclaiming your identity, rediscovering your passions, and creating a future filled with joy, authenticity, and healthy relationships. Focus on self-care. Prioritize your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Engage in activities that nourish your soul, whether it's spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness, or pursuing hobbies. Rediscovering your passions is an essential part of the healing process. Embrace the freedom to define yourself on your own terms. Building healthy relationships is crucial for your recovery. The journey of healing from a trauma bond can be long and challenging, but it is possible. Remember, you are not alone. Countless others have walked this path before you and emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Embrace the future with hope and optimism. You have the power to create a life filled with love, joy, and authentic connections. The pain you have endured does not define you. It has shaped you, but it does not have to control your destiny. Believe in your strength, celebrate your resilience, and never give up on your right to a happy and fulfilling life. You are worthy of love, respect, and happiness. Be patient with yourself, practice self-compassion, and celebrate every step forward, no matter how small. Thank you for watching, and please stop in again to view more on narcissistic abuse and healing. If this video resonated with you, or you think it could help someone you know, please like, share and subscribe so you can be notified when more videos are waiting for you. Let's spread the word and help prevent the spread of narcissistic abuse. Take care of yourselves and each other.